This particular article is entitled Florida Bans 54 of its school math textbooks for trying to indoctrinate students. Half of the prohibited titles feature critical race theory. And
I
this
told you about it, Cynthia. I told you about it last week. I became a prophet. I told you about this, remember? I'm sure I told you.
Yeah, Teo, goddammit, you told us. Okay. Teo is no longer can be on the nonprofits because obviously he prophesied. There, we proved it. God exists. Moving on.
Bye, guys. I'm gonna miss you all.
We love you, Teo. Bye. And on that note, let's go ahead and move on. So this is actually from the Daily Mail. Oh my god, this is a runaway train for real. Okay, but this is from the Daily Mail by Ronnie Reyes. That was actually published on April 16th, 2022. And we do have additional articles also pertaining to this particular topic. We do also have a CNN article by Jay Croft and Steve Contorno that was published on April 22nd, 2022. So that it also talks about Florida math textbooks, critical race theory, and examples that were banned in by DeSantis and crew. So, what basically happened, people, is that there were a about 132 math textbooks that were submitted to the Florida school district, which I looked up is actually one of the best school districts in the United States. Can you believe that? Let that sink in.
Florida has a
How are the bad
weirdly good
ones?
school district. It's
Yeah, but
weird.
it's considered, according to stats, it's considered one of the best school
I
districts in
fully
the
did the
nation.
same research you did today and was
Yeah,
like, yeah, I have nothing bad to say about
I,
Florida's
I,
education.
I was looking for like a loophole or something, but let's just move on. So anyway, so 132 school textbooks, specifically math textbooks, were actually from publishers have been submitted over to the Florida School District in order for them to be vetted in order to actually be into the school district for the upcoming year. However, 54 of those particular school books were rejected because, according to the school district and their particular panel that actually vets these books, it did not comply with its benchmarks for excellent student thinking standards. Okay. Or they were rejected because they included elements of critical race theory and
Mm.
social emotional learning, SEL, as it's also called, and more. Now, basically, Governor DeSantis did speak out against, not speak out against, but he did comment at
Mm.
a particular press conference about the rejection of these particular books. And he was saying that he wanted to make sure that the standards that we are used to in Florida are upheld by, excellent student thinking standards, and actually said, and I found this very interesting, that specifically social emotional learning was not proven to actually be relevant, helpful, can actually push forward the educational experience. But 213 studies concerning social emotional learning would beg to differ. There is another link, people, that is going to be in the show notes below concerning social emotional training or social emotional learning specifically. And I'll just give you a little bit of a breakdown. But one of the research studies propelled that the SEL academic connection to the forefront, to the forefront. Perhaps one of the largest and well-known studies about the impact of social emotional learning by Joseph Durlak and his colleagues was a meta analysis published in 2011, early in the history of the formal SEL research. And it synthesized results from prior studies of 213 school-based SEL programs in grades through kindergarten through 12th grade, with outcomes of for over 270,000 students. It actually showed that students participating in universal SEL programs demonstrated more enhanced social emotional skills and positive social behavior, as well as lower levels of emotional distress and conduct problems. And students participating in these universal SEL programs also showed that an 11 percentile point gain in achievement, suggesting that SEL may strengthen academic success. Governor DeSantis, go figure. Now, also, one more thing that I'm going to touch on, and I'm going to go ahead and open it up to the panel, is that with the particular textbooks, there were examples specifically in the CNN article that showed some of the graphics that were in some of the textbooks that were rejected actually had statistics based on racism. And we all know that when you actually show data concerning the existence of racism, it makes children of a lighter hue feel bad, and therefore we should not talk about it. And we should not talk about also the history of racism and how it actually shaped our 50, how many states we got now? 50 states.
Just
There,
the
yeah,
50.
yeah, 50. Yeah, just the 50. You know, I was about to throw in a 4 more, but that's not the case. See, you know,
It's
you
Puerto
see,
Rico, we're waiting for you to be.
yo, and I believe there's a couple of Virgin Islands up in there as
Yeah.
well. We waiting on you. But anyway,
We're welcome. We're welcome.
you're all welcome. But but specifically, there were examples of these particular data points that actually showed sentiment, racism, as far as like in a data standpoint and statistics. And of course, that is a big no-no according to excellent thinking practice standards. And with that, I will yield the floor. Hold on, Jessica. Just hold your horses, girlfriend. Hold your horses.
Sorry,
I got
somebody
you.
has to
But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and open it up. And Jessica, you about to bolt out the stand. So go ahead and go with it.
So what I'm hearing is that when we are quote unquote subjecting white children to critical race theory, what we are teaching them is that some children are worth protecting and some children are not. So what I am hearing is everybody's concern is that my white 11-year-old child is going to feel guilty about racism, which frankly they should.
I'm saying.
And so that's all this is all that I am hearing is if people who are uncomfortable talking about race are trying to change their curriculum in their state, what I am hearing is we want to make sure white children and their parents are comfortable and at the and black, brown, whatever children, they can go fuck off. Like that's truly what I'm hearing.
Yes.
And maybe I'm wrong, but that's all I'm hearing is that white children cannot learn hardship, and black and brown children only know hardship and doesn't have a hero there. That's what I hear.
Yes,
Oh,
all
Jessica.
marginalized people, who happen to not be white, fuck off. Continue, Teo.
Yeah, no, guys. The problem is that you don't understand. Come on, read the article. Here, clearly, Ron DeSantis, he explains, quotation mark, explains that these math books promote hatred among students, makes individuals feel guilty for racism of the past. Almost as, I think that he's trying to say, no, guys, if you close your eyes and you shout la, 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 and pretend this never happened, apparently. Because
he can will away the brown kids who are affected by it somehow.
54 freaking math books. Math. It's like, what's his problem? He reads theory and immediately think, oh, critical race theory, my whiteness is being attacked.
Yeah.
Once again, we talk about this last week.
Sorry, I'm the only white American here. That's what white Americans think. If somebody comes up to me and is like, I'm black, and I'm like, no. Like,
Right.
it's truly like every white leader thinks that if a brown person comes out to them and is like, hey, I exist, they're like, why won't you let me, a white person, exist? It's
Well,
absurd and problematic and a
Jessica,
pattern.
Jessica,
Right.
obviously my blackness is attacking you. Now, Richard, I am wanting you all the way across the pond and you're reading this. I am so curious about what you have to say about
Do you know the thing that got me with this whole thing was the fact that the article tells us that he was grateful that Commissioner of Education Richard Corcoran, not sure how to pronounce his name,
no more
and
about
his
it.
team at the department of at the team of the department have conducted such a thorough vetting of these textbooks to ensure they comply with the law. Now, this really stood out to me, and it sounds like somebody. It doesn't sound to me like they were kind of doing a vet on the books to make sure they were all right. It sounds like somebody was instructed to go through the books with a fine-tooth comb to ensure unfavorable elements were removed. And that stood out a mile to me. And, you know, I'm going to be straightforward here. If they're so bothered about unfavorable elements being removed from school books, and do they want rape in the books, slavery, incest, slaughter, and racial favoritism in school books? If not, then get the fucking Bibles out of schools, because that's in there. And you know, it's if you're going to apply a standard, apply it evenly. If you're going to remove bad shit from things that you consider bad, get all the bad stuff, even the stuff that's in your own book. Now,
Especially
I'm not
if
in I'm not in favor of taking Bibles out of schools. That's not me. I think people should be allowed to have a fair education. But I'm also not in favor of taking critical race theory out of school books either. So, but you've got to apply your standards evenly. You can't just go and take things you do not like because of your privilege out of books and leave the bad shit in from the stuff you do like. That's not how stuff works. Come on, get your act together.
Oh, Richard, do you
Richard-
want to know? Oh.
No,
So,
Teo, go.
sorry, Jessica. My
haven't
brownness
stopped
for being a
talking in 3
Latino
hours.
apparently, yeah. Okay, Richard, do you want to know what this guy calls problematic in here? For example,
Yeah.
guys, everybody, please go and check the second link in there because there are several examples of what this guy considers racist,
Yes.
and there is an example where they. My favorite part is in this exercise set, exercise 103 and 104, you will be working with models that measure bias. But of course, in the picture, they have a nice example of four people. Sorry, I'm racist and I didn't count one person, probably because it's Afro-American, most likely.
You
But there are two Afro-Americans. Anyways,
but one of the things, like, the problem, Teo, is that if you had the book, you would learn how to count, and then you would have been okay. But see what happens when you ban books that are math related. I'm just saying.
oh,
Go ahead.
do I have to mention that I don't live in Florida? I have always been terrible with numbers. Anyways, can you
Yeah.
believe it? So I love the part
in
that
Florida
he
is very good at math, famously. So it's too bad.
Okay,
for you.
I was going to say 3 colored people and one white guy. That's what I should have said, because in here it's highlighted the part that says me what racist, and then it gives the example. So apparently explaining with examples and saying using these phrases, me racist, or immediately it's an attack on Ron the what? I forgot
Ron
his name.
DeSantis. I would like to
That dude.
preface what Teo was actually discussing is that in the second article, there is a photograph of 2 Black Americans. I'm going to be assuming that because they're in Florida. What the fuck, Florida? And one, I'm not sure, and I believe it's like 2, Caucasian people. One white, one woman. I'm sorry, and one man. And I'm assuming just like this the way that they're presenting, and it says like me racist. More than 2 million people have tested their racial prejudice using an online version of the implicit associate test. Most groups average scores fall between slight and moderate bias, but the differences among groups by age and by political identification are intriguing. In this section, exercise set, exercises 103 and 104, you will be working with models that measure that bias. I don't have a problem with that. I personally wish that more children are actually like exposed to this. This working in the healthcare industry, we are talking ad nauseum about implicit biases especially when it comes to our folks who happen to be providers, nurses, medical assistants, and the like, and how we are treating certain patients who happen to be white and certain patients who happen not to be white. I can quote off the top of my head that there are the infant mortality rate amongst Black women, specifically in the United States, is like almost 3 times as higher as it is with white women.
Fucked.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's still a stigma that a lot of providers believe that Black people do not feel pain when they are actually, coming to see providers, and that would even like uh, uh, affect what type of prescriptions that they are being prescribed to treat whatever type of illnesses that they're dealing with. So, and we can't say that these biases just happen overnight. They're taught. Okay, they're taught, and if we don't point them out, then we're going to continue to see this, and just having this whole thing about I'm just going to whitewash certain historical points, or even not mention that implicit biases exist, racism exists, and other isms don't exist, then we're going to continuously repeat the same cycle over and over again, and it's going to be replicated in our children. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and do a final wrap up before we move on. Richard, I know the Dark Overlord took you, but I'm so glad that you're back now. I'm going to go ahead and give you the first seed to close upon.
Okay, so I missed quite a lot of what was said. It's interesting to me that the governor talks about bias, because he seems to be applying more bias than anything else here. And I think this, education. It cannot be said enough. This seems to be a common theme that's run through tonight's show. And I think we really, really need to push home that there's a bigger, wider picture than an individual kind of topic going to play here, as we've seen. We've got this theme running through tonight's show, which we really need to take away and like think upon.
Indeed.
I agree with the white
Teo?
wizard. Sorry, Sage. Yeah, education. That's the solution. And sadly, that is what they are fighting here. And I'm sure that is part of the come on, Rich project. Rich, guys, you're doing the Rich Watch. Rich, is it Rich? Am I forgetting the name of the project that is trying to turn the USA into a
Project
theocracy?
Blitz, Operation
Blitz.
Blitz. Yeah,
that
Blitz.
thing.
Yeah.
That is going against education. It's trying to take real science out of schools, and now even numbers, which is scary, sad, creepy. And please, guys, don't let the USA turn into a theocracy. That would be awful. Very awful.
And then the final word goes to you, Jessica.
Yeah, I'm the one who's gonna make sure the USA doesn't melt into theocracy. Thank you, Teo. I really think I'll be able to do that for my country.
Thank you, white person.
Listen, I'm
Jessica,
so
just go.
proud to be the white American here. I don't want to brag, but I'm the only white American here. Listen, I think I have to piggyback on Richard, is that education is everything, but I want to be very clear that, like, we as people who consider ourselves very educated, we have to meet people where they are. And I think that's something worth keeping in mind. That's all I have to say.
Indeed, indeed. Well, education,
Good.
knowledge,
Was that anything?
critical race theory, all that great stuff. Yeah, SEL, SEL, SEL.
When you say SEO, it's me like locking into marketing bullshit, and I'm like, yes, we do need to make sure our Google results are strong.
that is
SEO is a different thing.
but I'm an SEL,
Oh,
social
SEL. I'm so
emotional
sorry. I'm a
learning. Yeah,
not
social
great
emotional
guest.
learning. Okay, but that's okay.